Good morning. Happy Thursday. It's very bright out, so I apologize for the sunglasses. I'm not trying to do the middle-aged man in sunglasses talking to people from his car shtick, and yet here we are. I had a lot of responses on the my legal analysis of whether or not the Pretti, I don't remember exactly how you pronounce his name, shooting was justified. And by justified, obviously, or it should have been obvious, that I was talking about whether or not the shooting was legally justified by the ICE agents. There were a lot of red herrings that people threw out and a lot of moral distinctions that people were trying to make that aren't really relevant to a legal analysis. For example, the ICE agent pushed the lady. Okay, great. And they can't push someone if they're trying to arrest them? Push people down on the ground? It seems pretty common. Tackles, pushes, things like that. I don't know what law prevents them from pushing someone that they're trying to arrest or detain. The only restriction on them, as far as I'm aware, is the reasonableness of the force. Now, you may or may not think it's reasonable, and that's great. I may or may not think it's reasonable, and that's great. But our opinions don't matter for shit. They just don't. Unless I'm mistaken, and I could be mistaken because I haven't gone in and done any legal research on this recently, but the court's going to look at it from whether or not the circumstances the cop was aware of, whether or not a reasonable officer in that cop's position would think that that use of force was justified. It might even be a two-part test, whether the cop thought it was justified and whether or not a reasonable cop in that position would think it was justified. But I'm more sure of the latter than I am of the former. So what they're going to do is they're going to look at whether a cop in that cop's position would think the use of the force against that lady was justified. But again, that's a red herring because while a average citizen has, generally speaking, a right to reasonable self-defense and reasonable defense of others against assaults, generally speaking, most states, and I'm using the word state specifically, have removed that right of self-defense against arrest, lawful or not. There are some states that allow you to resist arrest in unlawful arrests and or allow you to resist a unlawful use of force in making an arrest. But those are state exceptions to state laws, etc. There is no, as far as I am aware, there is no right to resist the arrest of a federal law enforcement officer or to assist someone and come to their defense in an arrest made by federal law enforcement officers. So his belief, let's just pretend that he believed that she was being assaulted by the police. Well, that's great. That doesn't give him a right to intervene. It does not give him a right to intervene. And so when he intervened, and he did intervene, and I saw him push law enforcement, I guess maybe I can't trust my own lying eyes because other people said he was just trying to help her up. Well, that's not what I saw. When the officers went to arrest him, he was pushing, he was resisting, he was armed. The gun went off. After the cops knew there was a gun, they were shouting, gun, gun, gun. Gun went off. Why it went off, don't know. But the question the court is going to ask is, would a reasonable cop in that position think that that use of force was justified? I really do think that a court would probably find that it was justified, that a reasonable cop in that position, knowing what those officers knew, would think that it was justified. You may disagree with that, and that's fine, but it's my legal interpretation. As far as a moral interpretation is concerned, well, in order for us to discuss morals, we'd have to agree on morality. We probably don't. In the past, I've said that morality was subjective. I no longer think that. I think that there are morals, and some things are moral and other things aren't. But you and I probably disagree on, number one, the basis of morality, and number two, what morality is, what things are and aren't moral. So I don't really feel any great need to justify a moral argument or to make a moral argument or to I don't even see a need to even say whether or not it was moral or immoral. I don't know that that's relevant. I don't know why anybody would care what my personal beliefs on morality are. I know why a lot of people would want to argue that I should adopt their morality, but I mean, good luck on that happening. Now, politically, I will talk about that. I like talking about politics. I don't do it very often. But let me just say that I think that 99.9% of what's going on in Minnesota is political theater. If Donald Trump really wanted to reduce or eliminate illegal immigration, he wouldn't go picking up one by one illegal immigrants. It's super expensive to do that. What he would do, and there's I mean, who knows how many, 20, 30 million illegal immigrants in the United States? It is incredibly unproductive to go picking them up one by one. How many years would it take to make a significant impact? I mean, so if he really wanted to do it, what he would do would be enforce the laws on the books. He'd go after the corporations, the companies, the businesses that hire them. If you eliminate, and you would also remove any federal payments used to support illegal immigrants. Cut it off. If he did those two things, the vast majority of illegal immigrants would simply leave the country. There's nothing here for them. No work, no money. Why bother to be here? And you're going to say, well, states might still fund them, sure. But any state that significantly funds them would find hordes of them going there because that's where the money is. And next thing you know, that state would be insolvent. I mean, it is still a thing that would fix itself relatively quickly, a lot quicker than picking up illegal immigrants one by one. On the other side, I have absolutely no idea why the governor of Minnesota and why various Democrats are making such a big deal out of it. Trump, who I think is a fucking idiot, just so we're clear, either listened to someone with a good idea or had a good idea that, hey, let's just get the bad guys. The guys where if the left does try to make them look good, does try to evoke sympathy from the average, common Joe normie, it'll backfire on them. So they're rounding up people with DUIs, child molesters, wife beaters, felons in possession of firearms, murderers. I mean, they're rounding up the ones who have committed crimes beyond simply entering the country illegally. And so it's been, in my opinion, an optics nightmare for the left, which is why I think that they've decided to pull back. I think that's why Tim Walz is now ordering state law enforcement, to actually protect the ICE agents. I think it's been an optics nightmare for the left. You get shrieking Karens out there, blowing whistles, doing everything they can to agitate the cops, to provoke a response, to agitate the federal law enforcement, to provoke a response. And then when they get a response, they run around playing victim. I mean, the only way that anybody buys that is if you only watch the news channels that only spin the left's narrative. So you see like a 6-second soundbite. This is the exact same thing auditors do. You get a short video clip starting in media res, the exact same thing I've complained about auditors doing, where they only show you the parts they want you to see. And then from that, you take a wrong idea of the effectiveness of the auditor, the effectiveness of the protester, how bad the cops were in either situation. You don't get the full picture. Like, I'm sure that everybody out there who's saying that, Pretti did nothing wrong didn't see the video of him taken prior to that shooting. How much prior, I don't know. But it was the same day. He was armed. He pushed a ICE agent from the rear as the ICE agent was going towards his vehicle. Laid hands on him. Could have been arrested right then and there. Wasn't. He kicked the taillight off the ICE vehicle. I mean, that's damage to federal property. That's a crime right there. Was he arrested for it? No. So what the left doesn't show you is all the restraint and all the pressuring done, all the restraint by ICE and all the pressuring done to get ICE to react. They don't show you that. They just show you once they get the reaction. congratulations. Like, politically speaking, I think it's been a nightmare, because I think most Americans, most people don't want illegal aliens, and they specifically don't want the illegal aliens who are committing crimes, other crimes beyond entering the country illegally. They don't want illegal aliens here driving drunk. They don't want illegal aliens here molesting children. They don't want illegal aliens here beating up their wives. Most people don't. That's pretty non-controversial. And like the weird thing, so what I think all of this is about every 3 months we get oh my God, this is the end of the world. This is the biggest news cycle. It churns through the news. Everybody pays attention to it. I mean, just before these riots, you had riots in during the summer in various cities protesting ICE. There was the Summer of Love back in 2020 where they had the Chaz takeover. There's protests in all these major cities about, George Floyd and this and that. I mean, Ukraine was a huge thing. Everybody's like, oh, Ukraine, we need to stop them there. There was Israel. I mean, they tried to get things into the news cycle to get everybody all about up in arms, and they keep showing you the stuff that gets people emotional to drive up the frenzy. So, the news companies make out because they get more clicks and views. People are all excited about it. Oh, the Charlie Kirk thing. Like, that was huge for a minute, and then it faded away, right? I guess Candace Owens is still being all fucking weird about it, but beyond Candace Owens, that's kind of right? But we just get these cycles about every 3 months. Something new will come up that'll dominate the news cycle, and everybody will be up in arms. Nobody will think critically about it. Nobody will stop and look at both sides and be like, okay, well, you're kind of right and you're kind of right, and you're both really fucking wrong. I mean, it's just par for the course, But let me remind you, as much as I don't like Donald Trump, as much as most of you don't like Donald Trump, as much as America, generally speaking, looking at the polls, doesn't like Donald Trump, he's a pretty normie dude. He's a pretty normie dude. He has deported more or less people than Obama. And Obama wasn't the Antichrist. I mean, he wasn't a good president, but, find me a good one, any good one. But Obama deported more people than Trump has. And don't tell me this bullshit about all the self-deportations. That's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, unless you could show me hard facts and not some think tank's guesswork, go blow it out your ear. Trump has been completely ineffective at deporting people. He flip-flops on every issue. He's a fucking terrible president. Just a fucking terrible president. But he's a normie. He is literally a Manhattan Democrat. If you look at all the political pictures of him with other politicians taken before 2016, like, there's him with Oprah. She's fawning over him. There's him with the Clintons, both of them. You name it. They're like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, and like he was a Democrat. He was literally a Democrat. He still is a Democrat. I get it. He's in office as a Republican, but he's not Hitler. He's not a fascist. He's completely inept. He's ham-handed. He's governing by executive order, but every other president's governed by executive order too. It's just Trump can't get shit done through Congress, so that's his only mechanism, so it looks worse. Every president has governed by executive order because Congress is completely ineffective and democracy doesn't work. And that's another thing. If you believe in democracy, you can't believe in open borders. Like, if everybody can come here and vote, that means the whole world gets to vote. If everybody can come here, that means that our resources have to go to everybody. If everybody can come here, how do you tax anybody? How do you regulate anything? Basically, all laws go away. All voting is meaningless because the entire world gets to vote. It doesn't work. Like, in order for you to have a discrete political unit, those borders have to be enforced. Even like cities, you want to vote for a city mayor, you gotta be a resident of the city. Like, that only makes sense. If the entire country got to vote on your mayor, then you're not going to get, the city isn't going to get the person they want. The country is going to get the person they want. If everybody gets to vote, in U.S. elections, if the entire world gets to vote, because they can just send as many people as they want. India can send like a couple billion people. China can send like a couple billion people if we don't have borders, right? We'll get, like, statistically speaking, we'll get whoever China wants. And I'm not trying to make China out to be a big boogeyman. I think, it's very Orwellian, Eurasia has always been at war with East Asia, right? I mean, Oceania has always been our greatest ally. I don't really think that China wants to conquer us. I don't really think that China gives a fuck as long as China gets to do its own thing and have free trade. I don't think that Russia's going to take over Europe. I mean, all of it's blown out of proportion to try to get us normies to go along with whatever's going to make the technocrats and the politicians by proxy rich. I mean, it's all a game. And none of it helps you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.